So these slides clearly have been written in the last half hour. So David, I'm sorry, there will be typos. Anyone else? You're not going to notice them, so it doesn't matter. Next slide, please. Okay, so from this morning, obviously the patient and relative voice, we all know it's important, and when we need to keep listening. I was delighted. However, clearly they were randomly selected patient representatives that we chose, that they said ReSPECT should cross all healthcare settings and work for everyone. I thought that was a serious good vote of confidence. But actually that was repeated throughout the day. We need to be really careful that we're involving all stakeholders across any healthcare setting. I can't remember who suggested that if a hospital was starting it off, that they suggest that they hold a local engagement day where they invited everybody in. I think that might be a really wonderful opportunity. As someone who works in acute care, I feel we don't have enough interaction with our primary care colleagues, with our pre-hospital care, so it might be something that could be an initiative that would start with ReSPECT, but might actually have other impacts on other things that we want to be able to cross healthcare settings, so that was a fantastic idea. We heard about how it was important to think about the business case. As clinicians, we often don't like thinking about money, and I do think there's an issue if we start talking about money and ReSPECT that we end up with questioning about rationing. But it's important to say that we are over-treating some patients and under-treating others, and we need to make sure that we're doing this properly. So I think talking about the business case, think about the national opportunities. Culture change is slow, but it does happen. Catherine's audit results I thought were pretty stunning, that over the course of, it was 16 months or something, 2% to 10% went to the patients that were for resuscitation on ReSPECT. And I think overall I've been really inspired by everybody who's here as being an incredibly diverse and committed group. Next slide, please. So I skittered about in the different groups, and obviously the panels just reported back, but from the morning and from the panels I've developed a very speedy wish list. So from the education group, we need to continue to iterate the learning resource. Clearly, we should try and integrate it with mandatory training, be able to track who's done it. There was a question about, as ReSPECT becomes more embedded, maybe we need some more challenging scenarios. Maybe we need to have some more ethically challenging scenarios rather than just the basic ones that we've got. We perhaps need to have a patient information leaflet for children, a staff poster. There was a good suggestion about what do I do with this form now when a patient goes home. Next slide, please. In terms of patient and public involvement, we need to ensure engagement on individual, group and community levels, and we need strategies for each of those. Perhaps we need, and this is where your question came, perhaps we need some centrally held public engagement materials or guidance, and we need active involvement of other patient groups. So anyone who has connections with other patient groups, I think we need to bring them in. We need to be talking with Age UK, someone mentioned, already got national voices here, but I think we just need to widen our conversation. Next slide, please. In terms of policy, I've had my eyes opened a little bit. I think nationally, and Federico, I really need to thank you for making sure that we invited NHS England Right Care. Juliet's been doing amazing work with realistic medicine, but can we keep on keeping patient care in the centre of all of our priorities? Locally, there was a question about should we be driving ReSPECT with a QOF? But there was a question about whether that might cause a problem, and I think I still haven't got this quote exactly right, but someone said putting hard incentives in can change a relationship into a process which needs to be completed, and I thought that was really important. So we know actually from the Liverpool Care Pathway that was a problem when people said how many people had the LCP completed and it was a death pathway and who knows what. So an alternative is to say, well, in order to get this QOF, you need to have educated all of your GPs. You need to have shown that you've been committed to raising awareness in your area, etc. Are you actually ready for ReSPECT? Those are the things that need to happen for you to get your QOF. I thought that was a very nice way of looking at it. Next slide, for whoever's there, sorry. Digital, well, there was a long wish list digitally, and Peter Mark, you did an extraordinary job of trying to control, but clearly we want universal accessibility, and we were talking about which platform could host, could the way that we commission help, perhaps make sure that interoperability is a prerequisite before a new system's taken on, but I think we all recognise that there are issues with interoperability in all of the things that we're dealing with, but ReSPECT, again, has the potential to perhaps be the first in being able to be an interoperable thing, and we should all just be patient and be committed to that. Next. So here's my generic wish list, and someone asked me today, what did I want in 3 years? And I said, I want enough evidence to say this is a good thing. I am a scientist at heart, and I'm very nervous always about proselytizing something unless you know you have enough evidence. I don't know that we'll ever have enough evidence to say that this improves patient care, but so long as we have enough evidence to say it doesn't cause any harm, and it appears to be improving patient experience, then I think we can say it's a good thing. I'd like a community of clinicians and patients who can offer continued engagement to the iterated development of ReSPECT, and if those 2 criteria are met, I'd like a national strategy to adopt it. Next slide. So, final messages are, keep the can-do approach. Mr. and Mrs. Daniel said this. There's lots more to do, but we're all committed to improving the care patients receive. And I think this is a moment to really thank Federico, Emily and Rachel and Catherine and everyone else, Rob, who has just worked enormously hard to produce this conference. I'm sorry, you're probably going to say thank yous as well, but I wanted to get my thank you in. But not only to this conference, but to the RC UK for supporting it. I was remembering a conversation I'd had with David Pitcher when we first started talking about this, so thank you to the Research Council. But that spreads out now to everyone in this room and everyone who couldn't make it to the conference because we didn't have enough physical room, and it's really important to recognise that this is a group project. A lot of people talk about how if you create a horse by committee, you get a camel. I think this is the reverse of this. I think this is the wisdom of crowds, and I'm so grateful to all our colleagues from so many different specialities and backgrounds that we have been able to keep on getting something to hone it down to be really good. Next slide, please. So, this is exciting. I think everyone agrees this is exciting. And there are 2 particular ways that you can continue to involve. So this conference was very much about telling you where we got to, starting workshops, but this is the beginning of the next phase. So please join the hub. You should have got an invitation to join it. If you haven't, contact Catherine. And on the hub, you can feedback your experiences of integrating it. You can share any resources. So if anyone has made a poster for staff, if anyone has made an education leaflet for children, then share it. And we can then keep on developing it, and we will have, or if anyone's got translated the patient information leaflet into another language, which isn't something that came up today, but which we know we need to do. If every hospital translated it into one language, we'd be pretty quick. And keep the conversation going. And then, and I'm sorry because I haven't spoken to everyone on the working groups about this idea that I had as I wrote the slides, so I hope no one shoots me afterwards, but it seems sensible to say that we're thinking about changing the structure of the working group as we get bigger. And we're going to have an overall subcommittee, but we're going to have working groups that will be digital, education, probably patient and public engagement, document update, keeping all of this, keeping up what's going on, and scientific and evaluation. And we aren't a closed group. So people who are interested in becoming involved in the next 3-year project of ReSPECT, please contact me or Catherine, because we need to keep making this better. So thank you very much. I think that's my last slide.